How dare you look at her? The champagne glass exploded at my feet, and before my brain could catch up to my body, I felt the sickening rip down my spine, that awful sound you only hear when something expensive and personal is coming apart. My silver gown, my anniversary dress, hung in strips while three women laughed like it was a party trick. Phones were up, faces were hungry, and none of them knew my husband was about to walk through that door. If you've ever had that fluorescent light feeling, the one where time slows down and everyone can see you flinch, you'll understand why I almost bolted. My name's Alexandra. I've been married for 2 years to a man most people only know from headlines and whispered conversations in boardrooms. His name opens doors I didn't even know existed. Mine doesn't. I teach art to kids at the community center 3 afternoons a week, drive a sensible car, and buy coffee from the same corner shop where the barista knows my order and asks about the glue on my sleeves. When he proposed, he asked me what kind of life I wanted, spotlights or quiet. And I said quiet, please, the kind where we come home to each other and the world disappears. He smiled and said, good, me too. So we did it our way, small wedding, no press, no glittering ring that screams from across a room. Just us. But our second anniversary had been getting steamrolled by his deal-making calendar, and he wanted to make up for it. Where's something beautiful? He texted, meet me at this place downtown, I've got a surprise. I almost never go shopping, like capital S shopping, but I did that day. I found a silver dress that hugged me in all the ways that make you stand a little taller. Not designer, not a statement, just the kind of thing where you catch your reflection and think, okay, I feel like me, just shinier. He was running late, of course. 5 minutes, then 10, then the dreaded just a bit more. I went alone like he asked. Gave my name to a hostess who knew how to smile with her eyes and not just her teeth, and slipped onto a bar stool with a glass of water because my hands needed something to do. The space was all velvet shadows and marble edges, city lights pressed against the windows like a movie backdrop. I was doing that slow breathing thing you do when you feel like you've wandered into the wrong party. When I felt eyes on me, 3 different sets. They were beautiful in that polished, money knows my name way. One in white, sleek as a blade. One in black, the kind of tailoring that announces itself. One in warm neutral tones that somehow said this cost 4 rents. They were looking and whispering and laughing, and I did what I always do. I looked at my phone. 5 minutes more, my love. Can't wait to see you. I smiled. I set it down, and that's when the one in white moved. Her heels clicked like punctuation. She sat 2 seats away, ordered a martini, turned, and gave me a smile. That had edges. I love your dress, she said, like a compliment with a knife in it. Where'd you get it? Target? My cheeks went hot, but I wasn't going to give her more than a steady voice. Thanks, it's just something I picked up. She laughed big enough to pull in her friends. Oh honey, we can tell. Then she leaned closer and peered at my ears. Are those real? They look a little cloudy. They were real, small, simple diamonds, my first anniversary gift. But what was I supposed to do? Present documentation. The other 2 drifted over like planets changing orbit. What brings you here? The one in black asked, voice smooth as a gallery opening. This place is pretty exclusive. I'm meeting my husband, I said, which set off actual bar-slapping laughter. Sweetheart, your husband here? The third one, warm tones, soft smile that never reached her eyes, tilted her head, and said, are you sure he's coming? Sometimes men let you down easy. My phone buzzed. 5 more minutes, so. Sorry, worth it, I promise. I did something I wish I hadn't. I showed them the screen like I needed witnesses for my own life. The woman in white snatched it. The speed of it, the shock of her fingers. On my phone like I owed her access. And read it out loud in a voice that turned my husband's words into a joke. What kind of man keeps his wife waiting? She said, and her friends laughed again. And it was like the whole room shifted 2 degrees colder. I asked for my phone back. She played keep away for 1 slow, humiliating minute, then tossed it onto the bar like a tip. The bartender's eyes met mine. Kind, apologetic, but he didn't say anything. I decided I was done. I stood, gathered what was left of my dignity, and turned toward the door. Oh, she's leaving. The one in black sang out, did we hurt your feelings? I didn't answer. Then, accidentally, the white one clipped her glass with a ring and a streak of red arced through the air and died on my dress. I grabbed the napkin the bartender thrust at me, tried to blot instead of scrub, breathing like a person giving birth to a calm version of herself. And that's when I felt fingers at my back and heard the sound. You know how a rip can be louder than a shout? She tugged like it was funny, and the seam gave way from nape to low, cold air kissing skin I hadn't planned to introduce to a room full of strangers. Someone actually hooped. Someone filmed. The bartender jumped the bar with a coat and wrapped me like a sister would, whispering, I'm sorry, I should have said something. I clutched the lapels like a life raft and walked. I wasn't going to cry in front of them. I wasn't going to give them that. I was 5 steps from the door when it opened and the air changed. I know my husband's footsteps. I know how his face softens when he sees me. That didn't happen. His eyes found me, tracked the coat, the tremble I couldn't hide, and something in him went very still. He crossed the floor like a storm with a center of calm, cupped my face, and asked the only question that mattered. Are you okay? I shook my head. Words were beyond me. He pulled me in, turned to the room, and let the power he refuses to use in our private life fill the space. I'm Xavier Steele, he said, and there was this ripple, this hush that wasn't fear exactly. More like gravity. And this is my wife. You could feel perception snap and rearrange. The 3 women were suddenly people without a script. A few phones lowered, others raised, but no one spoke. Until the bartender did, bless him, his voice shaking but steady enough to tell the truth from start to finish. The security team who'd come in behind my husband didn't lay hands on anyone. They just became presence, which was somehow more effective. Excuses sprouted. Misunderstanding. We didn't know. We thought. He didn't raise his voice. That made it worse for them. So you didn't know she was my wife. Does that make what you did acceptable? You decided she didn't belong, based on a dress, on jewelry you believe should announce its price? His assistant, Melissa, was already at his shoulder. With quiet facts, a husband employed by one of our companies, a family business carrying a loan with one of our banks, a club application awaiting a vote from a board my husband chairs. The women turn the colors people turn when they meet the mirror. Consequences lined up like dominoes. And then, this part surprised even me. I put my hand on his arm. He turned toward me instantly, like I'm the only voice that can pull him off the ledge. Can I speak? I asked. He stepped back, gave me the floor, and stayed close enough to be a wall. I told them the truth, not the kind written in contracts, the kind I teach to kids with paint under their nails. What you did was cruel. You recorded it like entertainment. You didn't need to know who I was for it to be wrong. Kindness isn't a transaction. If it were, my life would be quieter than any of you can imagine. I said I accepted their apologies, not because they'd earned forgiveness, but because I wasn't carrying their ugliness home on my chest. But acceptance doesn't erase consequences. That part mattered. We left. My husband thanked the bartender in a way that makes a life better without telling the world about it. Then told the room the evening was over. He held me like he was trying to stitch me back together. I'm sorry, he said into my hair. I should have been here. You couldn't have known, I said. Though I understood the kind of responsibility he feels toward everything he loves. In the car, he squeezed my hand and confessed there'd been a whole surprise upstairs. Friends, dinner, a slideshow. A photographer I adore. I laughed, wet and real. You simple? Never. He grinned the way he only does with me and called an audible. Everyone to the house. Someone deliver a dress. Spare no expense. My size. A small kindness for the woman who wants a quiet life but had just been handed a stage. There's a special kind of warmth that comes from changing out of pain and into beauty. I chose a rose gold gown that felt like a yes to myself. Our people filled our home with familiar voices, and the night shifted from what hurt to what held. No one asked about the ruined dress. They let the celebration be louder than the cruelty. And in the soft hour when only our closest remained, he slipped a bracelet onto my wrist. Platinum. Delicate. A tiny artist's palette winking from the chain. For the woman who colors my world, he said, and I felt that sweet sting behind your eyes when your heart understands it's safe. The next day the dominoes moved, but not the way the 3 women feared in that first terrified beat. My husband believes in accountability that teaches, not annihilates. A hard conversation saved one man's job and, I hope, his dinner table. A family loan was restructured instead of detonated. A club application, one that exists mostly to reinforce the kind of values that ripped my dress, was quietly denied. The video never appeared online. I didn't ask how, because that's a part of his world I don't want in mine. I never saw those women again. Maybe they learned something. Maybe their circles got a little quieter. That's not my work to manage. My work, the lesson I took home and keep on the shelf where I see it every day, is simpler and heavier at the same time. You don't know who someone is by the cost of their fabric or the chair they're sitting in. You don't know what battles they're fighting, what reserves of grace they've built up brick by brick. Sometimes, yes, they're married to someone who can tilt an entire room with a sentence. But more important, sometimes they don't need a rescue to be whole again. Sometimes they just need one breath, one choice, to step out of humiliation and back into themselves. Real power isn't the part where heads bow when a name is spoken. It isn't the private room or the car that glides like a secret. It's the split second when cruelty would be easy and you choose not to be smaller than the moment. It's the decision to forgive without forgetting, to lay down the weight that was never yours to carry, and to walk chin up, back straight, even when the zipper's broken and the seams are screaming. That night taught me plenty about karma in a tailored suit, sure, but it taught me more about the kind of woman I want to be in rooms without witnesses. So if you've ever felt that hot rush of shame in a place that wasn't built for you, if someone tried to measure your worth with a ruler they bought to make themselves taller, listen, you get to decide who you are. You get to keep your dignity even when they try to pull it off your shoulders. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover what I did on a night that began with a rip and ended with a promise. The quiet life we chose isn't fragile at all. It's stubborn and soft and endlessly strong. And when the door opens and the air changes, you'll be ready to meet it with your whole self, not because of who walks in behind you, but because of who you already are.